In 2008, the United States mobilized $700 billion to rescue Wall Street. Banks had gambled, banks had lost, taxpayers footed the bill. That was not history's most audacious bailout. In 1840, the British Empire mobilized the Royal Navy to rescue the East India Company. The company had gambled, the company had lost. China footed the bill, the island of Hong Kong, plus $80 billion in today's money. This is the audit of the original, too big to fail. Canton, June 1839. Imperial Commissioner Lin Zexu stands over a trench. Before him, 20,283 chests of contraband, nearly 1,300 tons, the largest seizure in human history. His method: salt, lime, water, chemical dissolution, 23 days of destruction. The slurry flushed into the sea. Street value, £2 million, over $10 billion in today's money. Destroyed. Most companies would have sent lawyers. This one sent the Royal Navy. Today, the United States runs a $300 billion trade deficit with China. America buys Chinese goods. China hoards dollars. In the 1820s, Britain faced the same problem. Britain bought Chinese tea. China hoarded silver. Britain was addicted, not to the poppy, but to tea. The empire ran on a leaf it could not grow. The problem: China sold but didn't buy. Britain offered textiles, wool, clocks. China wanted silver, nothing else. The drain: between 1800 and 1840, nearly $300 billion in silver flowed from British coffers to Chinese vaults. Britain was bleeding out, and the largest British corporation was bleeding with it. The East India Company was no ordinary business. It was a corporation the size of a nation. It ran India. It employed more men than the British Army. Its taxes funded the British government. Its silver bought China's tea. If the company collapsed, Britain collapsed with it. Britain needed to close the deficit. The company needed to stop the silver exodus. It found a product China couldn't refuse. That product was already growing in India. A flour, a resin, a revenue stream worth $25 billion a year. The Sacklers called it pain management. The East India Company called it legitimate commerce. Both were selling the same product: chemical dependency at scale. Since 1999, the prescription crisis has claimed 500,000 American lives, left millions more dependent. The Sacklers had pocketed over $10 billion in 2 decades. By 1839, the poppy trade had ruined countless Chinese lives, left millions more dependent. The company had extracted over $500 billion in 2 decades. Different centuries, same playbook. The East India Company held a monopoly on poppy production in India. It controlled every field, every farmer, every price. The product flowed through middlemen to China, and the profit flowed straight to London. The margin: a 1,000% markup from India to China. The scale: 700 tons smuggled in 1820. By 1838, 3,000 tons, quadrupled in 18 years. The toll: 12 million people dependent. That's the company's captive customer base. Banned in China, sold anyway. In March 1839, the Chinese emperor sent a man to shut it down. Imperial Commissioner Lin Zexu arrived in Canton with one mission: shut down the trade, seize the contraband, destroy it. The cartel was about to meet the law. Every year, the DEA seizes billions in contraband. Cartels fight back with force, bribes, and lawyers. But they don't have a navy. In 1839, Commissioner Lin Zexu pulled off the largest contraband seizure in history. He won. Then the cartel sent gunboats. Lin destroyed the contraband. Britain declared war. China had numbers. Britain had technology. Steam-powered gunboats that could sail upriver, beyond the range of coastal forts. Steam engines against wind and sail. Iron hulls against timber and rope. Explosive shells against arrow and spear. It was not a war. It was target practice. Within 18 months, Canton fell. Amoy fell. Ningbo fell. Shanghai fell. When British guns reached Nanking, the empire's southern capital, the emperor surrendered. 18 months. 5,000 years of civilization, humiliated in 18 months. The Treaty of Nanking, 1842, signed at gunpoint aboard a British warship. For the first time in memory, the Middle Kingdom knelt and paid. The price tag, $80 billion in today's money, plus an island called Hong Kong. The British called it a barren rock. They would keep it for a century and a half. British merchants, now above Chinese law. British rule, now supreme over Chinese land. Lin Zexu, the man who did the emperor's bidding, was exiled in disgrace. 30 years of loyal service to the throne, rewarded with banishment to the frozen north, as far from the capital as the emperor could send him. He had shut down the trade. He had destroyed the contraband. It didn't matter. The cartel had gunboats. Before the ink was dry, they were back in Canton, business as usual. The East India Company was not a trading firm. It was a cartel with a flag and a navy. When the company was breaking the law, the government looked the other way. When the company was facing a crisis, the government came to the rescue. When the smoke cleared, someone else footed the bill. In 2008, we called it too big to fail. In 1840, they called it free trade. Wall Street got its bailout in dollars. The East India Company in gunboats. Different times, same crime. The Treaty of Nanking didn't end the crisis. It lit the fuse. Within a decade, the imperial coffers were empty. Within 2 decades, the Middle Kingdom collapsed into the deadliest civil war in history. The ledger continues. Subscribe to the Silk Ledger. We're auditing history, one chapter at a time.